Good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. I'm excited to continue this week's training. If you're here with me live, you know that this week we're talking about social selling primarily, right? So yesterday was branding, and today we're getting into social selling 201 and really how I engage with so many people out there to build relationships, get them to know me and for me to know them. And so I'm excited to talk about that as we go forward. I like to start off with a tip, though, before we get into the formal training. And this tip is for those of you who show up early and on time. It's just a way to say thank you. I appreciate that you do that. And so my tip for you today is go listen to and I forgot his name, and you have to do your own research on this, but go listen to the president of Microsoft, the chairman of Microsoft. He's talking about AI and how artificial intelligence is going to impact the world out there. And it's going to be everywhere. And the gist of what he's saying is that AI is going to be more impactful on humanity than even inventions like electricity. It is such a mind-blowing kind of a interview to listen to him talk about and where it's going. I can talk about AI is not the future, it's now. But when you listen to him talk in all the places it fits, it's really amazing. Last week, I did a training talking about how to use ChatGPT in your activities. And I talked about how you could introduce AI to the federal government if you're in the elevator business and supporting their elevator needs, et cetera. And so I showed how that AI could really improve the safety and performance, maintenance, et cetera, of elevators. And then this guy, the president of Microsoft, just took it to the whole nother level. So go find it. It's an interview he just did this weekend, but he's traveling around talking to world leaders. This is the future. And the reason I want you to listen to it, and it's my tip, is because your customers are looking for you to be a trusted advisor, and they have no clue what AI is. And it's our responsibility to be able to take what's the complex and turn it into something people can understand. And so help agencies understand what AI is by first beginning to learn it beyond just ChatGPT, but understand it from a big impact and where it could help. So that's my tip of the day for you. For those who show up early and on time, I appreciate that. And I'd like to throw a tip of the day out. Let me just get my tech here really quick done. Hello and good morning to those of you who's throwing it into the chat. I appreciate it. Okay, in today's training, we're going to talk about how to build trust with federal buyers and teammates using social selling, social media as a tool. One of the lines I like to say, and I really push visibility, right? In government contracting and sales in general, if no one can see you, do you really exist? And I wrote that here, right? If no one sees you, do you exist as a seller? And I would argue no. If your customers cannot find you, then you basically do not exist as a seller. And so you want to make sure you're findable. That's the first step in visibility that I teach people is make sure you're findable. And the second step is just this two-step approach. Be findable and attractive. And attractive means match their search intent. If they're looking for a plumber, don't be a painter or something else that happens to throw the word plumbing into your marketing material. Make sure that when they show up, what they see is what they search for. So that's called search intent. And to me, I just bring it down to be attractive to the buyer. If you don't know this, there are hundreds of thousands of buyers within the federal market space. In the DoD alone, there's over 185,000 acquisition personnel. These are people in acquisition-related jobs. And then there's all sorts of other people who are doing market research and influencing the purchase. And so it's really important to understand that you need to be able to reach these people and find them, but when they're looking for you, because you can only knock on so many doors. And if you think about industry, they're another buyer, basically. If you have a prime contractor and you're going to subcontract, that prime contractor is your customer. Yes, you're both going to serve the Army, for example, but that prime contractor is your customer, and you want to make sure that they can find you. And with over 300,000 potential teammates, you're not going to be able to knock on all those doors. Even if it was just 3,000 companies, could you really knock on all those doors all the time, right? But it's really important to be visible, and social selling can help you be there when they want to go looking for a company like yours. So that way you don't have to knock on all the doors. And I talk about social selling. If you do it correctly, social selling is fundamentally using social media. And for me, it really comes down to just using LinkedIn as the primary social media tool. Social selling can increase your visibility by 1,000%. For some of you, 100,000%. But even me, the more I use it, it could increase my visibility 1,000%. I talk to my team all the time about this. We are very well known in the government contracting world, and I would argue we're known that much out of like that big of a pool, right? We really are not known by everybody. A lot of people know us, but not when you compare it to how many people could know us. And it's the same thing for you, right? Some people might know you, but not everybody who wants to find you is able to. And that's what we're going to talk about. So in today's training, I'm going to drive down into practical exercises on using social media to engage with buyers and teammates and really help them find you and like you, right? And so I want to cover three main things. The first thing is just touch briefly on why engagement is so vital to your success, in particular for government contractors, right? I really want to just drive into that a little bit. And then I'm going to switch over and go right into LinkedIn, and I'm going to show you how to engage with what I call as known leads. I know I want to engage with these people. And then how to engage with unknown leads. And I'll show you what I mean about that. But fundamentally, it means the people I don't know yet that I didn't know that I should know. How do you find them? And I'm going to show you how to do that. And so when you follow what I do at the end of this training, you'll be able to do what I do as well. Maybe not as well as I do it, but you'll be able to do it as well. I cracked myself up. All right, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When you follow the process A to Z, you're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what we want for you. I want to thank the GovCon Chamber of Commerce sustaining members. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do as much as we do out there. We don't have funding from federal agencies or the federal government. We don't have funding from large primes. Our funding is self-funded from sustaining members like you and me. And we help small businesses all across the country. And so on their behalf, I just want to say thank you for supporting us. Okay, let's talk about why engagement is vital to your success as a government contractor and reaching out. The first one I put here is just, and I try to put it in ever like stacking it, if you will, but ever building importance. And so the first thing, just engagement increases your visibility, right? I mentioned this earlier, but it increases your visibility among buyers and teammates. More people will know you. People buy from those they know, like, and trust. We want to increase the amount of people who know you. The second thing is that when you start doing engagement out there, like I'm going to show you in the third step today, you're going to learn about new leads, people you should be following, people you should try to be engaging with, potential new customers. These are, at the beginning, they're called leads. And so you want to learn about new folks there. You're also going to attract new relationships. So you're going to learn about people you want to follow up with. But when you engage, you're also going to attract people who look at what you and your company do, and they're going to be attracted to your company to want to learn more and to build a relationship with you. So they'll do the outreach to you. Fundamentally, you can think about it as outbound and inbound lead activity there on LinkedIn when you engage. The fourth bullet here is that as you engage with people and you engage in a smart, helpful way, you're going to be able to help others begin to trust you. I said people buy from those they know, like, and trust. And so that trust part at the end is built up as they work with you and they engage with you. They begin to trust what you share on social media, that social selling kind of activity, which then leads them to want to maybe consume more of your content that might be on your website, to having a meeting with you, right? So that trust is built up over a period of time, and it can begin here with engagement on LinkedIn and on social media tools. And the last thing is, as that trust is building, and as you're out there more and more doing social selling and your company and you are visible, you're going to establish yourself as a subject matter expert. So they don't just know, like, and trust you, but they really start seeing you as that subject matter expert that they follow, that the tips I'm going to give you today that you should be doing to them, they're going to start doing it to you, saying, I want to follow whatever Janie is putting out there because her stuff is always relevant to what we want to learn. It's always coming from a subject matter expertise or expert's perspective. So anyways, that's the first thing, is you really want to just understand why you're doing what you do on this engagement. And so I'm going to spend the rest of this time, about 20 minutes, going into LinkedIn and showing you exactly how I do what I do. I have now over 20,000, almost 21,000 followers, and I engage with many of these people, and I do it in different ways. And so the way I'm going to show you today is how I would engage with who I would consider, let's say, at the top of my list. I'm going to use a kind of a sample company and pretend like I do AI. I have a company that does artificial intelligence. I wish, because that's the future. But I'm gonna use that as my example company. I'm gonna go into LinkedIn and I'm gonna show you. But there's two things I want to show you. The first one is my saved list of leads. These are what I call known leads, the people I know already that I should be following. And then I'm going to show you the unknown leads or the unknown people, right? And I'm going to show you that by browsing the feed, and I'm going to show you how I engage. This is going to be really helpful to you if you want to improve your engagement and how you can begin to get a following. Just as a quick aside, I just did a post last week, and this post got I'll show you in a second, like 150,000 views. And one of the things, I don't know if I put it here, so I just want to say it before I move on. One of the things you have to understand about views is it doesn't matter that I got 150,000 views. I like it when I get 1,000 views. Frankly, even if I got 100 views on a post and engaged in activity I'm doing, I like that because it means somebody saw me and they know me. Imagine a view on LinkedIn is similar to if somebody walks by your office, or if you have a hair salon, they walk by and they see you, right? And they see you. That's what a view is. They don't come in, they come in. You know what? I've been walking by this place for 6 months. I decided to get a haircut. Well, that's basically what social selling is. You're out there, you're being visible, and you're beginning to be seen for things. I walk by that hair salon and I see that it's always packed, so people must like it, right? They must trust it and come back, compared to an empty restaurant or an empty hair salon. It doesn't give you a lot of confidence. And it's the same thing for you. So whether you get a lot of views like I have or 100 views, let's say, it doesn't matter. It means somebody is seeing you. And if you do this stuff I'm going to show you enough, you will be able to 1,000% increase your visibility. So let's pop over to LinkedIn. Where am I going? Right here. And so in here, I'm just going to come into two things I want to show you. The first one is, so let's just pop over here really quick, and I'm going to go to a favorite. I got a favorite here called CDOs. And so if I look at CDOs, I want to tell you what this list is. This is a list of my known leads. These are chief data architects or chief data officers for federal agencies, right? I'm a artificial intelligence data type company, right? I do data and AI. And so I want to be paying attention to the CDOs, these chief data officers, and I want to see what's going on. LinkedIn engagement means seeing what Duncan is putting out and deciding whether I want to engage. So I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to watch my time, but I'm going to try to give you as many tips as I can about how I can engage and when I don't engage. So let's just start here for a second, and I'll show you what I have. I taught how to do this yesterday, but basically I'm telling LinkedIn, I want to see posts over the last month from these 20 people. And if you look at these 20 people, these are all chief data officers within various federal agencies and offices, right? There's many, there's hundreds and hundreds of them. And so I can add a lot more to track on it. But I'm saying every morning I want to look and I want to make sure I'm seeing these people and I'm engaging, because if I engage, maybe they know who I am. Maybe someday they say, you know what? I saw you say something about AI in agencies and how we can do it. Can you come in and talk to us about it? Like at some point, that's our ultimate goal, right? Is that they're seeing us and they're seeing us as that SME. And so let me go through some of this content until I find stuff I want to engage with. In each post that I see for a moment, I'm going to tell you whether I engage or don't engage. And hopefully you'll find this valuable as I go down. So the first thing I do is I see this USA Jobs. I instantly say I don't want to engage. Let me tell you why. When somebody sees that I post a piece of content, I thumbs up a content, I comment on a content, I want it to always be around what I'm trying to sell. So if you literally look at what I do, I just did an engagement this morning with somebody who posted content on proposal stuff, and I can go back and show that. Actually, let me show that really quick just so you can get an idea. So this morning, I just commented on, I think, several. So here's one of my online friends that in the government contracting world. So Mary's content was really cool, and she's talking about, in here in proposals, make sure you're showing, not just telling. And so I engaged that, right? I came down here and I made a comment about how, that's how I'm always kind of advising the people I work with to go forward. So I'm engaging it. She and I engage with each other's content. And it's relevant to what I teach. I teach federal sales. She's teaching proposal stuff in there. And if you come down, I don't know if it's there. That's my own post, so I won't look at it, but just want to find one. Sorry, I'm going a little I had a little too much in here. There was somebody else I just commented on this morning, and I'm sorry I'm not seeing her because that was another good comment. But anyways, you see my point, right? It's relevant. But if I look at this post, it's USA Jobs. I'm not trying to promote jobs for the government. They can hire, they can do their own. But if I come down here to Garrett now, he's a chief data officer at the Department of State. I'm trying to sell artificial intelligence and data services to the federal government. So I want to be in front of people like Garrett. And it doesn't matter if he's at state, at some point he might go to DHS, right? So I want to know these movers and shakers in that space. And so here I'm looking at something he's sharing. He's talking about great research and some thoughtful recommendations. So there's a couple of things on the engagement, right? I might look to see who these people are really quick. And then as I come down, well, so Elena, I didn't need to click because I can see it's just a candidate at Harvard Business School, but I can come down and look at what they're sharing. And this is 79 pages. I might flip through really quick and see if it's related to what we're doing. This looks like it's really job postings or something. So I'm not quite sure what he's sharing. So I'm going to pass because I know there's comments I can do down there. Here's the Federal Railroad Administration. I tend to try to avoid stuff that's crowded. This guy's been nominated. I don't really get in this, right? I stay away from the nominations because then I'm just filling my feed. And sorry, just keep in mind, when I click on this and give it a thumbs up, LinkedIn will now tell my 20,000 connections or some portion of them, hey, Neil just liked this. You should like it. It's like, well, why do I need them to know who this guy is who got a job? I don't really care. I mean, I like him, blah, blah, blah. What I want my connections to see is something like this. Top 10 colleges to produce it. Now I don't really care about that. Just moving down until I find one. So maybe here. So this one here is talking about, by the way, let me come back to Elena. That's Harvard School. I don't care because it's out of the government. Air Force Reserve. So it's just two people in college writing something. I get that they're professionals. But I'm looking here, mentor, evalues. These guys are talking about national security. So this one here is one that I would pause at, right? We're constantly seeing a view that avoids either hype or hand wringing. And so they lay out this important lesson that's in here. And so what I would want to do is, this is a video, right? I would want to kind of go look at this. This is what I mean by engagement, by the way. Let me pause it for 1 second. These guys are talking about AI literacy. I would go through here, and if I'm really interested, I would watch it. I'd watch it at 2 speed or something. But I jump forward on their slides. You see how I can look through here? And I can start seeing what they're talking about. And I might come back to this one and just say, I might just start with, thanks for sharing, comment at, is it Garrett? Thanks for sharing, Garrett. I'm going to take a long lunch and watch the video. And then I can just leave it like that for a second. The reason this is important, and that's kind of a weaker comment because I'm not totally in the AI space, right? But the idea is I'm telling Garrett, hey, I appreciate that you're sharing that. I'm going to go look at it. And a couple of things happen. Now, Garrett, I'm on his radar, right? And if I really want to get into the State Department or into data, you will see me engaging with Garrett over weeks, months, and years. At some point, I sink solidly into his mind as a person or a company that's in that AI space. So something simple like that. If I come back down, here's Garrett. He's on the this Memorial Day, looking down. What do we do on open science? What I'm really looking for is so this is graduation season. I'm skipping that. And my point for you is every morning you can do this. Just to remind you, what I'm doing is looking at a bunch of leads that I told LinkedIn I want to follow every day. So I'm coming in, I'm looking at these 20 people and scrolling through what they've posted in the last month, right? So this one here is a really interesting one, right? I might engage something like this. And if I did, this is really interesting. So there's a dialogue that's going on. I might actually look at the comments to see what people are saying. If I'm really in the AI space, not only would I leave a comment, but maybe I'm coming in, like this thing's important enough for me to give a heads up, right? A thumbs up. And let me use the insightful one. But if I'm coming down and I start looking at some of these, I will start engaging with some of the content. I don't want to do that too much right now while we're on this call, or on this training, but you should do that, right? If you're following whoever your leads are, take the time to read some of these comments and engage in a dialogue. That's what a subject matter expert does at whatever level, right? Even if you're a beginning subject matter expert, right? Is engage in the dialogue that's happening. He's talking right here. Sounds like a very good reason to incorporate AI into training. Well, what's a very good reason, right? And so I might go in here and look what Garrett said, and then look at this person. Garrett, if AI retraining itself every few seconds, isn't there a possibility the framework, even the goals would be outdated? Perhaps the curriculum isn't there. It's an interesting thing to read. I can get into the dialogue. I can put my 2 cents in if I'm an expert in that space, and you are. So it turns out this guy Garrett is actually one of my most prolific posters in here. But let me pause for 1 second to just bring it right back up to this part. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to close this for 1 second. The idea of engagement when you're getting engaged on content is you want to let people know I'm following you, I'm engaging with your content. It is not about just randomly clicking or trying to get a bunch of clicks in. It's looking in here and going, is there something that you're posting that's relevant to my world where I can contribute? Then I'm going to engage in it. So let me show you a different way. So that way there, by the way, is this saved search where I'm saying, show me posts from the past month from these people. By the way, when I do it myself, I really only say, show me the last 24 hours. I'll show you another one that I do right here. So these, not that group. Come on, pull up my thing. So these people, GovCon influencers. So one of the things I like doing, like Eileen is a longtime expert in the industry. I like following her, and I've got some other people. Just because I don't have you in here, by the way, doesn't mean I'm not tracking on you, but I haven't built this all the way up. But you can see some really recognizable names probably if you've been around. And what I like to do is come in, and if there's something they're sharing that could be helpful to people, right? Here's 10 tactics to win federal contracts with GSA, right? And when I engage it for her, it's less about I care about those 10 tactics as much as I'm engaging it because I think this could be helpful to my audience, my network, and I want to make sure they're seeing Judy Brad, who's also another longtime expert in the GovCon world. I want them to see this. I'm assuming this is like an ebook, free download on how people can win. I mean, this actually is a really good one. I might download it and try to share it out, coordinate it with her, but share it out to my audience because I don't really speak a lot on schedules, but she is. It's a great thing to share out. And so you can do this same kind of grouping with whatever audience you're trying to track on. So let me switch to this last thing that I want to talk about. I showed you known people. I know the government contracting people. I know the chief data officers. And so I put them in these saved searches. And every morning I come in and I spend 5 to 10 minutes going through saying, hey, did Eileen and Judy post anything yesterday that I want to share out? I don't want to click on everything they do, but there's certain things like that ebook is a really good thing that I think my audience would be thanking me for doing it and then going to her and getting it and learning more from her. And so it's a win-win for everybody. But here is the unknown. So when you do the way I just showed you, there's no randomness to it. It's specific people. Here, and there's our friend John Keene, who's always in our training. Hey, John. Here, as I come down, what I'm looking for is things I can engage. And I give myself 5 to 15 minutes, depending on what I'm doing that day, and say, let me scroll down and see what I can see. I don't particularly like how LinkedIn does top, but I'll stick with it for a moment. So let's scroll down, and I'm going to show you stuff when it pops. And it really has to pop. There's somebody else in our community. Excited to see everyone at Omaha Industry Day. So this is an industry day. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to post it there. And I'm going to say, thanks for sharing out further. I'm at Stacy. And she's a longtime listener of our show, right? I didn't know about this event. So this is perfect, right? Because actually, I think this is really helpful to me and to the people I know because it's an industry day. And this is the Society of American something engineers. And so letting people know about it and then engaging with that. Okay, so coming down, I'm looking at this. By the way, you'll see a lot of this feed in here, the promoted and all this advertisement stuff. When you do the first method I showed you, you have none of the junk mail, basically, and you have all of the specific folks that you want to track on. So here's Navy Cyber. I might be interested in that. New rules would straighten out small business. Okay, I don't play in the rules, so I'm not engaging. I make a point of saying, I think rules are take years to get done. So I'm very much interested in what can be done in this day, this week, or at least this month. Anything beyond this month is too far for me. There's other people who play in that longer term activity and not me. So coming down, I'm just looking at a couple of more to show you. So tracking down, I'm looking for some government ones that'll, so there's a new feature. John King, there's Kizzy, Navy, Tech Bridge. So here's here's an event one. So anytime I see an event, I might, if it fits into my world. And so I've been talking about innovation and I've been talking about Navy for 5 years. And so I'll give that a thumbs up. I don't have an interest in commenting on it, but I go forward. I'm going to find the last one that I might throw a comment on. And you get all sorts of different stuff. Here we go. U.S. Department of State Industry Market Research. Let's see if it's worth talking about it. Extended detection and response. No, and the reason I'm not going to do it is because it looks like it's such a small community. It wouldn't really be interesting to a lot of the people I work with. Morgan Stanley can do their own stuff. From vision to reality, that caught me. Oh, and so I'm assuming that's Mike Darius, right? This one's really interesting. Oh, it is Mike Darius. There you go. So he's the virtual acquisition secretary, also take on good leadership. So really, this is just a showcase thing, but this one's perfect because I want to show you this, and this is a great way for me to end because Mike Darius is awesome. He used to be at DHS, I think, and then popped over to the State Department. I'm going to give it a thumbs up, and I'm going to like it. Thanks for sharing this out about at Mike. We're going to get him. Come on, how many words do I have to type? Darius. Come on. Did I miss it? Oh, I need 2 R's. There he is. So thanks for sharing this out about Mark Darius. So here I'm trying to go back to the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. We've got several thousand members in there. And so all GovCon Chamber of Commerce members and other small businesses should be following Mike. He shares, great information. Okay, and so let me fix that. Businesses and then post. And so let me stop there for a second. So that was an example. When I sometimes am engaging and sharing content, I want Mike to know I'm paying attention to what he's doing. If there's anything I can do to help his agency share out more content, I want to do that. I also want the people who are in my network to know that I'm sharing something interesting, not a USA Jobs posting, but here I'm sharing something about an inside look about this guy, Mike Darius, who's in the virtual acquisition office. And if you go to his profile, you'll see he's the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Acquisition at the Department of State, right? I mean, that is a person that you should be following in the GovCon world, especially if you're interested in State Department. But even if you're not, I don't know if he still does it, but he used to have a personal blog, but his personal blog would be about acquisition. So it just wasn't representing the agency, but it was still his world. And that was a really good thing. Okay, so in today's training, what we talked about is why engagement is really important. I want you to remember this one most important reason is that it increases your visibility. If people can't see you, then you don't exist as a seller, right? And I want you to be seen by as many teammates and federal buyers as possible. And LinkedIn engagement's an easy way to do it, 5 to 10 minutes, 5 to 15 minutes a morning. And then the other thing we talked about is how to quickly and easily engage with buyers and teammates. I know I'm shoving a lot in, but just go pause it. Go back and watch it again on replay. Watch what I did, I think even yesterday, where I talked about how to do these kind of things. I have a lot of training I've done on LinkedIn, so you can go back and see these tips, and they're all fundamentally the same approach. Find somebody like Mike Darius and engage with him, follow, learn from him, and when it makes sense, reach out to him, or when it makes sense for him, he might reach out to you and say, hey, I've been seeing you engage for months on my profile, and I notice you say we do AI for the federal government. How about you come in and talk with us? Okay, Mike, sounds good. Right? So the next step that I'd recommend you do is set up a saved search with just 10 buyers. Follow that pattern I had there, but think about 10 people that you want to follow every day. You just want to check in and go, hey, did Neil or Jane post anything new today? Let me see if it makes sense for me to engage. You don't engage every time, but see if it makes sense to engage. If you're getting value from our trainings, if you got value from today's training, become a sustaining member of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. And remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.